Larter and Sue Baxter. We are recording this, probably should have said that first. If you're not happy to be on the recording, please feel free to turn your camera off. But it is always better if you have your camera on, it gives a better group feel. So welcome to Linder and Sue Baxter. So Sue Baxter is the Vice President at NALC and Linder Larter is the former President at the SLCC. They've come along today very kindly to talk to us about the Civility and Respect Project. So I'm going to hand over to them both now. Can I ask, if you want to ask any questions, you're more than welcome to pop it in the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat. And then at the end of the presentation, we can take questions, or you can wait until the end of the presentation and raise your hand either electronically or manually in the normal way, and we'll take questions that way. If anybody does get cut off, please just come back in using the original link. And I think the waiting room's now been turned off, so you should get straight back in. Okay, so over to you, Linda and Sue.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I think Sue's got some technology problems, but okay, I'm not sure why I've got an echo. Somebody's doing that. Okay, so thank you again for the invitation. Unfortunately, as we know only too well, there are problems in our sector with civility and respect and the lack of it. And although that's only in the minority of councils, it has a seriously detrimental impact on those that get into trouble, not only on the well-being of everyone involved, but also on the functions and finances of the council, and then ultimately the community. And that's why we are all involved in this Civility and Respect project. And I'm going to talk you through some slides. So let's start with the basics. What do we mean by civility and respect? Civility means politeness and courtesy in behaviour, speech and the written word. Examples of ways in which you can show this: by listening and paying attention to others, having consideration for other people's feelings, following protocols and rules, showing appreciation and thanks, and being kind generally. So the project. So NALC, SLCC and One Voice Wales believe now is the time to put civility and respect at the top of the agenda and start a culture change for the local council sector. This is the first time all three organisations have come together to deliver anything, and it's this important project that's spearheaded that. So the project aim. The Civility and Respect Project is a joint venture, as I mentioned, between these organisations and county secretaries, and has the primary aim of supporting town and parish councils to offer support and avoid councils getting to the critical stage where issues become unresolvable. The project has identified 5 categories of councils, from stable to needing support of various levels to critical needs, and we'll be introducing a new programme to support a much needed culture change and thereby improve civility and respect in our sector. This will be supported with availability of training, best practice examples, etc. And even signposting, not phoning, professional support and intervention when things go wrong. And we have a graph to demonstrate this. So it starts with the left hand, the stable councils, which we want everyone to be in, where all the best practices are in place. You've got key documents, everyone's following good governance, and all the model documents are being used, training in place for councillors and staff. And then we move on to minor impact, and can normally be resolved quite quickly with a discussion and talking to the parties involved. And then we have moderate impact, where a bit more intervention is needed, maybe mentoring, maybe talking to the monitoring officer, and mental health issues may start to develop for those involved. We have major impact. This is when it's really becoming serious. It could start to involve resignations of councillors or officers or clerks, and start to have a significant impact on those involved. And then there's the critical impact. This is really when everything has gone completely wrong, and it's very difficult to come back from, and everything starts to disintegrate. So as I said, our main aim is to try and help people stay in the stable area, and if they move to minor impact or somewhere, that they get the interventions to stop it progressing to a critical point. And the way the project team has done this is they divided it into 5 groups. The first is about training, and the training package has been started to be distributed, and it's different training to perhaps what you're used to. It's bite-sized, aimed at clerks and councillors, and you can book on different types of course. I'll just read a couple. So for example, resilience and emotional intelligence, what it means in practice. The cost for that is £30. And then there's another one, there's a whole list of them. What makes people become challenging? You know, £15 to attend that course. And there's a whole list of them, but they're perhaps slightly different to the traditional training that you might have been involved in. And this training is being offered in as many different ways as possible. So for those who want to do some online or want to do it in person or want to do short bite-sized training, deliberately it's been offered different ways. The governance work stream is what it says. It's having documents there in place so that people don't have to spend time and energy trying to recreate these themselves. We think it's very important that there's a tick list for every council. So councils don't have to rely on clerks, that they know what they should have in place and check that it is all there. HR policies, etc. The third work stream is intervention, how to identify struggling councils. As we mentioned before, we don't want them to move on to critical councils. We want to give them a support package and try and sort any problems early on. The fourth work stream is about legislation, monitoring and influencing relevant legislation, such as the introduction of sanctions and all the other things that come through. And this is a long-term project, so we're not talking about just now. There could be changing legislation next year that might have an impact. The fifth is collaboration. We're working closely with the LGA and other similar organisations. Sue and I met with the monitoring officers, lawyers in local government organisation last week and had a very interesting conversation and discussion about how they're going to help this project in practical terms. We want this to be a practical project, not something that's filed away. And Sue and I are the leads on the collaboration work stream, which is about talking to other people, which is why we've been invited to this meeting today. And the work stream 6 is about enabling. It's no good doing all this work if nobody knows about it, how to join in, how to find information, how to progress. I'm hoping Sue's there. So
I am here.
I'm handing over to Sue now.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting us this afternoon, and thank you, Linda, for the detailed explanation of what the project's all about. What I'm going to do now is basically a call for action for what us as councils, councillors, clerks, staff, members of the public need to do. So can you move me on, please? Thank you. So the SLCC, NALC and One Voice Wales, we're absolutely committed that we're working with our organisations to change the civility and respect culture. And to do that, we're providing a framework, and Linda's just been through that with you, and you can see there's a huge amount of work going on. But the project's providing the framework. The project in itself isn't going to deliver that change in culture. Changing culture's people, and that's what we're all responsible for delivering. It's us who are going to have to change the culture within our sector. And one way that we can do that is by signing up to the Civility and Respect Pledge. And I'll talk a little bit more about that now, if I may. So we're hoping that by signing up to the Civility and Respect Pledge, we will be able to change the culture across our sector. The important thing about the pledge is it needs to be a commitment from the council. We don't want councils just to pay lip service to it. We want them to really think about it before you sign up to it. So what we want the council to do is to answer some questions. Have you put in place a training programme for councillors and staff? Have you signed up to the code of conduct for councillors? Have you got good governance arrangements in place, including staff contracts? Importantly, will you seek professional help at early stages should civility and respect issues arise? I mean, we saw from Linda's diagram there that the sooner, if we know we've got a problem, the sooner we can address it, the easier the solution will be. And really importantly, will we commit to calling out bullying and harassment when it happens? Now, quite often we can be sitting in a meeting and think, oh, that really wasn't right, that behaviour wasn't right, but we didn't actually do anything about it. We might talk about it afterwards, but what we're saying is it's really, really important that we actually call it out at the moment it happens. Will we continue to learn from best practice in the sector and aspire to being a role model? Have we looked at the local council award scheme? Ways that we can actually demonstrate that we are learning from best practice and improving ourselves. And finally here, as Linda mentioned, support the continued lobbying for change in legislations. Sanctions really are a last resort, but we do think that there are limited times when they would be very helpful when all else fails. So those are the questions that we're going to ask, or that we're asking councils to answer before they sign up to the pledge. Please, can we move on? Thanks. So my question, I guess, to all of you here today is, are you ready to sign the pledge? What changes do you need to make to be able to sign up to the pledge? And what help do you need? The help is there. It's available through the project, and it'll be available through your county association. So, what help do you actually need? But most importantly, are you ready for change? We've got a link here. I know it's very difficult to pick up a link on a screen in Zoom, but you can sign up to the pledge either through the SLCC website or through the NALC website. Thanks, Linda. And that's it from me for now.